Good morning and welcome to Mission Control Houston and the International Space Station Update Hour. We're here with the International Space Station Flight Control Team inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where Flight Director Judd Freeling is leading the team with help from Capcom Rob Hayhurst. On board the space station, the 3 members of the Expedition 34 crew are more than halfway through their day and currently orbiting 261 miles above China. They are Commander Kevin Ford and Flight Engineer Tom Marshburn of NASA, Russian flight engineers Oleg Novitsky, Evgeny Turelkin, and Roman Romanenko, and Canadian Space Agency flight engineer Chris Hadfield. Ford, Novitsky, and Turelkin have been at the space station since October when their Soyuz TMA-06M vehicle docked to the Russian Poisk module. They're now working on their 118th day at the space station and their 120th day in space. And they were joined in December by Marshburn, Hadfield, and Romanenko, who docked their Soyuz TMA-07M to the station's Rosvet module on December 1st. They're on their 63rd day in space and their 61st at the space station. This is a very busy and challenging week for Expedition 34 with a number of different activities going on board the station. One of the biggest activities for the week is a transition to a new software suite called R12 as part of a yearly update for the space station. That transition started yesterday when the new software was sent up to the station's command and control computers. And today the crew is scheduled to update 7 of the station's laptops by swapping their current hard drives with new ones preloaded with the new software. The plan was to swap 2 of the hard drives and then allow the ground to switch over to using the new software system before the remaining 5 were swapped out. However, when the ground did that, they lost S-band communication with the space station. That's what allows us to stay in voice contact with the crew on board. That happened about 8:45 a.m. Central Time, and the team here on the ground has been working through exactly what happened and what to do about that since then. They got a snapshot of some of the data from the space station about 20 minutes after that occurred that showed the vehicle was under control and all well, but because the new laptop that was backup to the one that had the problems with the S-band had not been loaded with new TDRS information, when it was time to swap to a new TDRS satellite, again that is part of the system that sends us information down to the ground, that swap didn't happen. So we were without voice communication with the crew for about an hour while the crew or the team here on the ground worked through steps for the crew to take when they were able to contact with them. They were able to get in contact with them when the station went over the Russian ground stations, another method for getting voice communication contact with the station. That happened about 10 minutes ago, and we have a clip of the conversation with the crew at that time that we're going to play for you now.
Copy. I have a procedure for you to execute. It is going to be CNT procedure 4.312, and that's system reconfig after a standby primary CNC trans. As soon as you can, we need for you to execute steps 2 through 10 and 12 through 14 to establish stable S-band. On step 5, config for the currently active S-band string. We think that's string 2, but you can confirm by looking at the CNT. I heard you say at step 5 that didn't get the instructions. Keep going on that. Step 5, what was the instruction? For step 5, you can config to the current active S-band string. You can confirm that at the CNT group overview display. On step 9, load an index of 2770. On step 12, slot 1 will be TDRS 171, and slot 2 will be TDRS 275. I'll copy.
Here on copy, all reconnected node 3 and GEM PCSs. We had a standby to prime. CNC 3 is the current You want us to go ahead and reconnect them using procedure 4.312 and the CNT. 2 through 10 steps and then 12 through 14 steps. At step 5, configure to the current S-band using the group overview page. And step 9, the index is 2770. Step 12, slot 1 will be 171, slot 2 will be 275.
All good, Kevin.
Okay, copy that. Hey, just FYI, the station's still flying straight. Everybody's in good shape, of course, and nothing unexpected other than lots of caution and warning tones. And of course, we have no system insight. We'll get that back to you as soon as we can. In the gym, we did have a intra-module ventilation fan failure, so gym fan Bravo just kind of shut down. We looked at a related procedure, and it says just for the crew to be cautious and no special action. You might pass that on to Scuba. But all the systems and power supplies look like they're doing just fine.
Okay, great to hear, Kevin. And just to make sure, the procedure number was 4.312. Not sure if we got that correctly up to you. And also, if we are no joy in restoring COM prior to 1644, the new TDR slots on step 12 will be 41, and slot 2 will still be 275.
Okay, after 1640 maybe you said, slot 1 will be 41 and 2 will still be 275.
Correct, after 1644.
Okay, we copy that. Thanks a lot. We decided just to hang out and wait on VHF, and we appreciate the words. What do you expect the config to be after we take care of this? You think we'll be up with good comp after all these steps?
And Kevin, after these steps are executed, we expect SN to be in a stable config about 10 minutes after that.
Okay, copy that. We'll be patient. Anything that you would want from us if we don't talk to you again before the next VHF pass?
Checking.
That again was a clip from a conversation recorded earlier between Capcom Rob Hayhurst and Commander Kevin Ford, going through the steps that the team here on the ground determined that the crew needed to go through to get the communication link reestablished between the station and the ground. That took place as the station was flying over the Russian ground stations, which offer an alternative way for us to communicate with the station. And as you heard Kevin Ford confirm there that everything is looking good on the station other than the loss of communication with the ground. And they were able to get all the steps needed up to the crew to switch over, or rather load the TDRS information. That's the satellite that sends information from the station to the ground. Get that information loaded on this backup laptop that they're using so that they can reestablish our regular communication. And that's expected to take about 10 minutes after the crew finishes going through their steps, because we don't have that communication. We don't have a lot of insight into how that work is going on the station, but have reason to expect that we should be getting communication back in a reasonable amount of time. And if for some reason that doesn't work out, we'll simply talk with them as we go over the Russian ground sites again on the next orbit around the Earth. So one more time, although they are working through these software issues that have caused the communication link between the mission control room here in Houston and the space station, have caused that communication link to go out. Everything on board the station is doing well, and the crew is working through the steps needed to reestablish that link. Other activities going on board the space station today for the crew include several science experiments, including the In-Space 3 experiment, which looks at the fundamental behaviors of magnetic colloidal fluids under the influence of various magnetic fields in space. And several Russian experiments that look at radiation on board the space station, as well as Earth observation down below. And also the crew is beginning now to practice and get ready for the arrival of the next Dragon SpaceX vehicle, scheduled to launch on Monday. That's what's going on in space this week, and this is Mission Control Houston.